Most Qiyana players are flipping their early game without even realizing it. Today I'm going to show you the exact system that high-low players use to consistently win their early game as Qiyana, and why most players lose before level 3 even happens. You'll learn everything you need to know to crush the first 5 minutes of every single game. Let's jump right into it. Hello guys, my name is Edo, I'm a Grandmaster level Qiyana one trick, and I specialize in teaching Qiyana players all over the world so they can reach their dream rank. The first point that I want to talk about here is rune intentionality. The reason why this is so important is not because of the actual rune that you choose, but playing around it. So a lot of people ask me, Edo, should I go Electrocute, should I go Conqueror, right? Like, what is the difference here? The difference is simply the way you trade. Usually with Electrocute you want short, consistent trades of the Electrocute cooldown and of sudden impact, and with Conqueror you want extended trades where you want to have the wave on your side and then run people down with the Conqueror rune. So that is the first important point. We'll talk about this later on into the guide, but that's the first really important thing that you need to understand. And a lot of people actually get this wrong and they go for short raids with Conqueror, forgetting about the fact that they chose that rune, and they go for long trades with Electrocute, which can work situationally. Like, there are cases where you can run people down with Electro as well, but generally speaking, the rule of thumb is that you really want to play around the CDs of those runes. Very quickly before we continue with the video, if you want to start climbing consistently on Qiyana, check the link down below. I'd love to help you improve. The second and also very important point is pre-game threat assessment. The reason why it's so important is because it basically primes your brain so you don't have to think about certain things inside the game. And that makes playing the game a lot easier. In this game, for example, I'm just gonna make one example for each point so it's easier to understand. You can see that the enemy team has a Lee Sin and they have a Pyke, which are two champions that really like ganking a lot and roaming. So your jungle tracking and your support tracking really needs to be on point. Essentially what this means is, if Pyke is not showing on the map, he is mid lane. That should be your thought process when you actually play the game. The same thing is with Lee Sin. If you don't perfectly track the Lee Sin and you don't know where he is, that means that he can be mid lane and you can't aggressively look for trades. So knowing that, we can get to the next point and jump right into the game. This is honestly where like 95% of the players already make a huge mistake, which is the game start. As you can see guys, in this game right here, I'm playing Qiyana into Lissandra, and your job as a mid laner is to track the enemy jungle. So what I'm always doing is I'm walking into the Raptor pit, and I'm trying to really just set up early game vision so I can track the enemy jungler. So I place a Raptor ward and then I dip immediately. You can hold your W ability, so in case the enemy team tries to collapse on you, you can W out. There are certain cases where this is dangerous. For example, if you play into Rengar, if you play into Akshan, those champions can screw you up a bit. So in those games, I actually prefer having a defensive ward for my jungler instead of walking into the Raptor pit myself. I got two examples for you, one from Beifeng, one from Yakifeng, where we are going to take a look at the first two waves and also how they manage to get beneficial trades into their opponents. So first of all guys, you need to space and tether the enemy's abilities properly. This means that you are trying to get this wave on your side. The reason why that's so important is because the moment you have the entire length of the lane, that allows you to run the enemy champion down or get one beneficial trade at level 3. So you want to do this for the first two waves, since you get level 2 of the first two minions of the second wave. So you will see here that Beifeng intentionally gets hit by this auto attack and then W's out. As long as she doesn't proc Electrocute, she's not dealing as much damage. So he just wants those minions to target the Ahri so the wave is pushing into him a bit faster. Now let's take a look here. So as you guys can see, Beifeng is just sitting back. He's trying to stay in the range for the experience. And he will not take a single bit of damage here. He's not even going for those creeps because he knows that Ahri can run into him and she can just auto W out to him. So he grabs grass, preparing for level 2 all in, dodges the Q out, waits for his level 2, which happens right now, sits back, and now he's probably gonna try to Q the Ahri here, grab ice. And if she doesn't respect the ice, she is just going to run into his auto attack range here, and then he can just keep auto attacking her, weaving auto attacks, using Ice Q, and then Qing, and then using Flash auto ignite, which ends up killing the Ahri here. Now, he can't really shove this wave, it's too dangerous, so what he will do is he will just take a base here, and that's essentially one really good example of how to play the first two waves as Qiyana. Now, it would have also been totally fine to take the Electrocute trade and dip. and that's a lot more consistent for a lot of low elo players, since that what he just did is very hard to do, and you need to know your limits basically perfectly to the auto attack to make this happen. So this is something that you can abuse in higher ranks, but I think for anyone that's below master elo, it's usually the best thing to simply get that electrocute trade. For example, here what you could have done, if we go back, is you could have tried to dodge this Q, exactly, then you get this level 2 right here. And now you can try to hit this Q when Ari goes for the last hit, and then you can try to auto, 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 and then you can QWQ backwards. You can Q and then WQ backwards, and then just sit back. She's going to pod up, and then you can play for your level 3, right? It's totally viable, totally fine to do as well. So this is like the first example of how to play the first 2 waves, and also how to trade around your electrocute cooldown. Let's take a look at a Conqueror lane that has been played by Qiyana. By the way, all of these VODs are recorded in at least Grandmaster to Challenger rank, so there's no Master VOD in here. You can now see that Qiyana is playing a Zeri matchup. He has the range disadvantage, which means that Zeri can simply walk up and Q him, so he's just trying to use the minions there as a shield and tries to sit back so Zeri can't auto-attack him. Same principle, guys, really nothing too special here. He just sits back, he preserves his HP, and now just tries to maintain full life until he hits level 2. So he sits back, he gets level 2. Zeri respects the level 2 in this case, which is nice to see. I think she just knows what he wants to do. He tries to run her down, of course. So she just respects that. She walks out, probably places some vision, and then comes back. Now, with Conqueror, the whole game plan is a little bit different. You want extended trades, where you can walk up to your opponent the moment you get level 2 or level 3. And then, when they go for a last hit, you can E onto them, and you can just auto-attack them down. So you see Qiyana just E auto Q, and then grab Rock and immediately start auto-attacking. Now he has 12 Conqueror stacks, so he uses Q auto, and now he essentially outtraded the Zeri. So you only have the option to push the wave here. Either you want to push and dive or push and reset. If you don't push and she comes back, she can freeze the wave. So now he actually sees, he goes for a base here, as you can see, and then sees, okay, wait, Zeri's not even resetting. So he's just gonna stay, trying to dive the Zeri here. She respects that though, and you will now see that Zeri just takes that E, exactly. But she loses the entire wave because of it. This, what happens here, is already a very, very huge first base advantage, since she is going to miss the entire wave. Now, she still stays, not resetting, so he just decides to push the wave, and then probably look for a dive, I reckon, because she also doesn't have barrier, and he still has ignite. So he basically waits for Zeri to walk up, he hits an EQWQ, and gets the kill. So with Conqueror, you want to get people to kill range and then one-shot them when they are low enough by taking extended trades. With Electrocute, you do that by taking short trades. Next up, guys, I want to talk about throw prevention. This is where most Qiyana players fall into a trap, because they get an early game lead, they manage to win their lane in the first couple of waves, and then they come back and they end up dying to enemy jungle, or they end up dying to a support roam. There are a couple of things that are very important. So Beifeng comes back here to the lane, he's 1-0, he's doing really well, his Nidalee's top side. So Nidalee places the pink ward here, so that's why Beifeng leans towards this side. The thing is though that Lee Sin used the small amount of vision loss that you have with this Phalite to still gank the Qiyana here coming back from base. And this is why having a ward early after coming back to the wave is very, very important. So the first wave, at the first base after you come back, placing a ward in here or in there and leaning towards that side with your character is extremely, extremely important. Since otherwise you will get ganked, because usually the time of you coming back is the same as the scuttle timer, which means that the jungler is sitting on the scuttle and then is looking to make a bot or a mid lane play, or a top or a mid lane play, depending on where they path. So that's why you need to be super, super careful of this very specific timer when you come back from the base, and you need to be extremely cautious of enemy jungle and support. When enemy support dies, you can almost immediately expect them to roam towards your lane. So my rule of thumb is that when enemy support dies, you need to sit back and not take aggressive trades until you see them appear bot or top, since they might roam top as well, right? So the moment you see them on the map, you can start trading. If you don't see them on the map, you have to be extremely careful. This also depends on the support a little bit, but to be fair, every single support these days can roam. I've seen Yumis roam towards mid lane, I'm not kidding. So it's like, yeah, just be careful of enemy supports roaming and of enemy junglers ganking you when you come back from your first base. Now, the last important thing here, guys, is that you need health preservation. The way you do that is by only trading if it benefits you and your champion, right? So you're not really looking to trade too aggressively. You will see him take trades that only benefit his health bar. So as you can see, he basically hits a Q here and then just dips, right? He's not over forcing a trade, also because the wave is in a bit of an bad position. And the only time where he will go for a trade is if it like benefits him extremely. So even if he gets traded here, it doesn't really matter too much because Ahri is significantly lower than he is. So this is still a net positive position for Beifeng and a negative position for the Ahri, because now that allows them to essentially just dive this guy, unless Lee Sin shows up, of course. So that is like the next thing. You really, really want to preserve your health. I'm going to skip forward in this VOD a little bit. You will see that Beifeng shoves his wave, goes for a reset here, and then comes back. And now here again, the way you trade is EQ, look for a trade. If you hit it, it's good. If not, that's also fine. Just don't lose health yourself. Now he's actually in a bit of a weird situation, since Ahri can try to charm him, but that's okay. And he just waits for his abilities and sits back. Now again, you want to sit back. She missed-headers his E, so he can just run at her. And again, he doesn't overforce the trade, guys. He goes for a small electrocute trade, E auto Q, and then grabs ice. The reason is that, look at the self, the lane is already over. He's full HP and she's half health. You don't have to overforce the trade here, guys. And she's now in kill range, so the moment he gets electrocute back up, even without electro, he can just EQ, WQ, auto attack, with ignite, and she's going to die on the wave, right? So what you will see Beifeng do is just wait for his electrocute CD, and also what he's doing, and this is a very nice detail, he walks up intentionally, so Ahri can't just walk up and Q the wave and take a reset. Because if he doesn't pressure the Ahri here, she can just walk up to the wave, she can Q the wave, and then she just goes back. So this is super, super nicely done. If she takes a reset now, he's just gonna chill. But if she doesn't, he can just do that. He can get a nice little solo kill, you know, get her into kill range before, and now hit a nice little EWR. Also really nice detail here, a lot of people would have tried to EQ'd, but EQ is simply not in range. So he had to WR and then Q with ignite. And that gets her into kill range. And look, he's still full HP. Like, even if he gets ganked right now, nothing bad will happen. So he can just choose his reset freely right now. And that's essentially how you want to be playing Qiyana in these situations after the early laning phase. I would love to hear if those things that I just explained in this video were able to help you out. So make sure to drop a comment and also like or subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this. Now, check out this video right here, where I'll explain every single Qiyana combo that you need to know to climb in your ranked games.